Welcome back to the ongoing renovations to my miniature haunted house. In the last two videos, I completed the tedious construction of the entire attic using hundreds of popsicle sticks, coffee stirrers, and scrap pieces of wood. This time around, I'll be building a few props that are fun, quick, and easy. Things that can be placed in the attic and other parts of the house. I'll be building some tiny, spooky cereal boxes, a couple tiny Ouija boards, as well as a miniature stack of old newspapers. I printed out some images from the World Wide Web, which I have installed on my home computer. Each image is carefully cut out and then set aside to be used in the future. I'll start with the two scariest cereals in the world, Frankenberry and Count Chocula.
Frankenberry Count Chocula.
Oh, these two have been going at it for years. Once popular as a daily breakfast, this tasty cereal now only appears around Halloween. Here's the new 2025 version created by the Jim Henson Company. Very cool. Okay, construction of these cereal boxes is pretty straightforward. Simply cut along the edges, lightly score the areas that need to be folded, then fold the edges that were just scored. I should also mention I reprinted the cereal boxes on heavier paper. This will make the boxes sturdier. Next, I apply some glue to the main flap of the box with the help of a wooden toothpick. The edges are then held together until the glue sets. Next, the box will be put aside for an hour to let the glue dry. Say, that's a nice-looking tiny Count Chocula box. Now it's time to build a tiny Frankenberry box, using the same method. Simply cut, score, fold, and glue. Now some of you are probably wondering, Doug, does it really make sense to have cereals from the 1970s in a house this old? The answer is yes. Yes, it does. Plus, I like these guys. They're probably my favorite monsters in the whole wide world. One miniature Count Chocula box complete. As well as a tiny box of Frankenberry cereal. Frankenberry Count Chocula. Now it's time to create some little stacks of newspapers. I printed out some vintage newspaper pages onto sheets of lightweight paper to give it more of a newspapery feel. Now let's see if this thing works. Carefully fold it in half, and yes, we have a newspaper. The inside pages won't be seen, so I'm cutting out a few sheets of blank pages to be inserted. The blank pages are carefully folded in half and then inserted into one another, and then finally into the front page. A smooth object is then used to crease the paper giving the sheets a nice crisp fold. Once the pages are aligned, the edges are then trimmed to give everything a nice clean look. Man, that is a clean-looking tiny newspaper. The paper is once again folded in half, and once again trimmed to perfection. To get all the pages to lay down flat and look a little wrinkly, simply soak them for a few seconds in water. Squeeze out the excess water and put the whole thing aside for a couple hours until it's dry. No haunted house is complete without a spooky Ouija board. I'll be building just that along with some accessories. Everything is glued down to a piece of cardboard and then trimmed to size. I created the storage box using the same method I used to create the cereal boxes. To create a small window in the planchette, I used a tiny nail as a makeshift drill to create a small hole.
You're a small hole!
I remade the Ouija board using a thinner cardstock. No one will see this except for me. I think I get too picky sometimes. Bye! Off camera, I made several more newspapers. I then carefully glued them all together to make one big stack. Here's that stack. A tiny newspaper sandwich. I then use a metal ruler to press slight grooves into the stack of newspapers. I repeat this on all four sides as well as the top corners. If you don't have a metal ruler, you can also use a metal file or even a butter knife. Groovy newspaper. Now it's time to tie everything together with some tan thread to represent miniature twine. Remember having to bundle up your newspapers? Does anybody remember newspapers? Well, there you have it. One stack of newspapers. I'll probably make several more. They're great for adding a bit of clutter to any room, making it just a little bit more creepy. Speaking of creepy, have a look at these little tiny jack-o'-lanterns. They were gifted to me by my friend Lindsay, as well as a couple 3D printed ones by my friend Gio. I have some cool plans for these little pumpkins later on in another video. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Gio. Before I go, I want to show you some of the things I've been collecting for the attic. Some of these things were given to me, like the globe, the couch, and the gramophone. The other things, like the ladder, the baby carriage, and everything else, were either modified or built by myself. I have much, much more on the way, but for now, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Frankenberry Count Chocula.